Thank you very much. I'm incredibly honored to be receiving this award, and ultimately I want to say that this is on behalf of the African women who are risking their lives on a day-to-day basis to end FGM, and ultimately the African women who came before me and gave me the platform in order to push these things forward. Sorry, sorry, she's gone. My name is Nimco Ali, and I'm one of the 200 million women globally living with the consequences of FGM. As brutal as the act is, it's also very organized. The key reason to why I started my activism was just to change one word. I sat in meeting rooms, I sat in committee rooms, and I sat in forums where everybody kept on talking about eradicating FGM as though it was some kind of virus. Through my own experience, I knew that FGM was organized, and I knew that a lot of people benefited from it. So I started D'autres Aviv with 2 other survivors in order for us to understand that FGM was a form of violence against women and girls. For thousands of years, women on the African continent, parts of the Middle East, and India have suffered the silent gender genocide, as I like to call it. In the Middle East, silent genocide. In the name of honor and culture, this was dismissed. There is no honor in the mutilation of girls, and there is no culture about the denial of the basic human rights of children. FGM was meant to break me. I was meant to be scared and, after I was cut. I was meant to behave, and I was meant to stay in my corner. But as we know, well-behaved women seldom make history. The international community for too long has seen the issues like FGM and child marriage as something that is due to ignorance and not the slow gender genocide, as I said. For 200 million women living with the consequences of FGM and those that we've lost, I'm really grateful that I'm able to accept this today. Between now and 2030, there are 70 million girls at risk of FGM. That is the population of the United Kingdom right now, 70 million girls. 70 million girls that could be the future of Africa, that could be the saving grace of a whole continent. I believe that the mere fact that I'm standing here today shows that we can save these girls from FGM. I believe that if we stand together and seek the protection of the human rights of the most vulnerable, we can live in an FGM-free world. To achieve this, I do not need you to start a campaign, but I want you to stand in solidarity with the women on the front line. Women like Jaha Doucouré in the Gambia, who was also herself subjected to FGM when she was a week old, then sold into sexual slavery, also known as child marriage. Josephine from Kenya, who has saved over 1,000 girls from FGM. These women are doing incredible work on zero funding, and we need to change that. Progress is possible, but it's not given. In my family, we have ended FGM because I spoke up and because we acted. In Africa, we can do that if we allow those who truly want to speak up the platforms that I have. I thank you again for this award, and it means the world to me, but rethinking the way that we fund women, and the organization I'm just about to start called the 5 Foundation is what we really need to do. What does rethinking the way that we fund women actually mean? It means that we really need to restructure the way that we give to women who are directly impacted by FGM and those who are saving girls, leveraging resources globally to build foundations for women to really change the value of girls on the continent of Africa. Right now, only 50 pence is given to every woman who's affected by FGM on a global level, and £700 is given to everybody affected or living with the consequences of HIV. I think this gross underfunding is due to gender. A lot of things are due to gender, but that agrees, gross underfunding is due to gender. The 70 million girls that are living with the consequences of FGM have an average age of 5 when they will be cut. I have spoken on platforms with world leaders, and I've spoken on platforms with community members, and one of the key things is that people talk about things like poverty, people talk about things like access to water and access to education. Poverty doesn't just happen, just like FGM doesn't just happen. Poverty is an organized injustice. If you cut 70 million girls, that means there's 70 million less active citizens within your communities. There are 70 million less leaders within your communities. There are 70 million less people within your communities that can really change things. So I had some incredible slides, which I was too late to send to you all. So what can I say? I really don't want to take the 10 minutes because I feel incredibly honored to accept this prize, but I also know that there are women who deserve I can know this prize more than I do. And I want to just tell you one story from 45 years ago about a woman called Edna Aden, who is one of my greatest heroes. She's a Somaliland activist, and she in the late 70s and early 80s, stood outside the UN High Commission in New York in order to lobby the men inside to say that FGM was a human right violation. FGM was seen as a health issue, which was defined by the World Health Organization as the non-medical cutting of the female anatomy. The decision of the world's communities to define FGM as a health issue has led to 140 million women being cut since between now and the late 70s. FGM is not a health issue. FGM is a human rights issue, and I hope in accepting this award and in being amongst these incredible activists that we can take that forward. And I want senior politicians and people in the West to stand alongside my government, who've been incredible within the United Kingdom. We have committed 50 million to help end FGM and fund the Africa-led movement. 50 million is not going to go far. 50 million is not going to go far. We need 100 million, we need more, and we need you all to work together and say that if we put money in the hands of African women, we can really achieve real and effective change. And on that note, I just want to thank you all again, and thank you for the scarf, and I'm incredibly honored.